Well, hello and welcome back to Posh Cat's Camping. Today I'm going to be looking at a few cameras. Well, it's one of the warmest days of the summer so far in 2020. We're still locked down at home and I've come into a very warm conservatory and I'm going to have to open some more windows and doors in a moment, but let's have a look at a few cameras and see what I've found. Let's start with my very first video camera. Well, here it is, my very first video camera. It's a Panasonic, the model number is MC6, and it accepted VHS-C tapes. You can see from the size of it here, it's quite a big beast. But I, believe it or not, waited about 18 months for this model to come out. It's very much smaller than the larger ones that you used to have to balance on your shoulder like this, and this was probably about half the size of those, and literally you could strap this to your hand and you could walk around and look through the viewfinder like this. So this was a breakthrough in 1989. I think I bought this in about the July, and we took it on holiday with us when the children were right small. Now, even though I had a video recorder, I still trusted my little Olympus camera, which I used here. It's an XA2 with the detachable flash, and I still use that with the film that we used to load in. And if you remember, if you're as old as me, you used to pull the little tab here, the back would open up, and you would put your film, load your film in there, and they were little cassette rolls of film that you put in there. It seems such a long time ago. Now, my first digital camera was this Kodak, and I've forgotten the model number, it's such a long time ago, DC200, and this was 1 megapixel camera. As you can see from the size of it, against my hand here, it's quite a chunky one, and the thing that struck me when I bought this was it's like the little old brownie that my grandparents used to have. And look at the size of the memory card. This is a 20 megabit memory card, and that slots into the side of the camera here, like so, with a little in a little slot there. So as you can see, technology in the last 20, 30 years has really moved on. My next digital camera, I fell in love with the Sony Cyber-shot range, and this one is a 2 megapixel camera, again with the little digital screen on the back. As you can see, they haven't become very small yet, but the technology is moving on quite quickly now. One of my favourite purchases was this one, the little Sony Cyber-shot. The model on this one was a P12, and this one's 5 megapixel. And I picked this up when I was working in America on a project, and I think I probably got it duty free. But that was a really favourite camera of mine, and I even went so far as to buy the little leather pouch that fitted on your belt, and it's a genuine leather pouch that the camera fitted in, and again put it in the right way around. That was again, the technology now is starting to, so you can fit this in your hand quite comfortably. The technology is getting smaller. One of the brands that we liked as well as the Sony at the time was the Pentax, and this is the Pentax Optio. Now, Pentax were pioneers at getting technology really small. This is a 3.2 megapixel camera, and as you can see, it's really quite slim. We're now starting to get into the period when mobile phones were shrinking, and cameras and mobile phones were about to go head to head. But this was probably the smallest camera that I bought, and that's the Pentax Optio. The next camera, again, a little bit bigger than the Optio. We've moved up now to 7.2 megapixels. Again, Sony Cyber-shot, sticking with the same brand, same controls. I was a sort of guy who wanted to point and shoot. I wanted to stick it in my pocket when we were on holiday and not worry about it. I got good results, and that was all I wanted, really. And with that, along came my second movie camera, and it was the Digital 8 Sony. This was just before HD came out, and this one had memory cards. No, big pardon, this one had tapes. They were just bringing memory cards out as well at the time, and the technology was still quite expensive. So I opted for the Digital 8 tapes. Again, it's a fabulous little camcorder, and must admit I didn't get as much use out of this that I'd really like to have had, but still got it. The only downside now, of course, is that we've moved to 1080p and high definition, and even a lot of YouTubers now moving to 4K, but this one remains in mint condition and is going back in the cupboard. The next camera is a Fugi, and this is something that my son let me have when he'd finished with it. He didn't use it very much, but it's the nearest thing to DSLR. It's got a fantastic zoom on it, but of course the lens doesn't detach. So I have used this, and I particularly like it for bird watching with a tripod, or particularly like it for scenic shots, and in Scotland or somewhere like that. Really good camera, but you do need a tripod with it. Digital, again, got the moving screen and a lovely camera, but again, it's not one that I take with me all of the time, so it goes back in the cupboard. So at last we come to the cameras that I use all of the time for vlogging, and there are 3 or 4. And that sounds excessive, but they all have their little jobs. I'm recording at the moment on my iPhone 11 Pro, which is a fairly new edition, and I'm very happy with it. And you can pretty much do everything you want to on a smartphone, and many people vlog just using a smartphone. It slips into your pocket, it's really small, and it's got all of the functionality you need to be able to vlog with. The reason I have the other cameras are, first of all, the dash cam, and this is an X-Base 212. It's a fairly basic dash cam, and I've had that for about 3 years. A good all-round action camera, the GoPro. This is the 7 Black, which has excellent stability. I've got a little microphone in the Ulanzu box here, with a little GoPro Mini, which also doubles up as a stand, and you can also extend it as well, like so. So GoPro are great at producing these tiny cameras with lots of functionality. The only thing I would say about these is that they can crash on you and let you down at the last minute. You do need to carry extra batteries, and they're not very good at zooming in. But that said, I wouldn't be without it now. I've grown to love it, and the nicest thing, I think, the real bonus of it is once this is all collapsed down, that will go in your coat pocket quite simply, and if you want to take the handle off, you can literally pop that in your trouser pocket and you wouldn't know it's there. It's a very, very small camera, so it's great, and also it will go underwater. Not that I want to. And my last camera for vlogging is my favourite, still remains my favourite. I've had this a couple of years now. It's the Canon G7X Mark II, and there is a Mark III out now, I think. And this is a lovely camera, fantastic for vlogging. It has the screen that pops up so that you can see yourself when you're talking to the camera. I've put a little dead cat on the top here just to because it doesn't have an external microphone. That's a downside with this camera, but it does have a superb microphone on the top, and in most cases that's ample for when you're vlogging. But again, it's a nice size camera. It's so good at so many things that you know, size isn't everything, but this is nice and compact and light, and I don't have to carry a big bag around if I'm just going out to visit the shops or down to the beach or anything, you know, around a castle. I don't want to carry a great big bag full of equipment with me. So the Canon G7X is a great little vlogging camera, and I think a lot of vloggers still use them. Well, that's enough about cameras. I hope you've stuck with me right the way through that, and if you have, next Thursday watch out for Throwback Thursday, when you'll see some of the footage that I've recovered from that Panasonic movie camera I showed you right at the start. Until next time, we'll say goodbye.